Huh? How? Just check once. I'm live. So hey students, welcome back to your own channel Vedantu NEET English. This is Baswaraj sir, your biology master teacher. Students, before we start the video, quickly let me know in the chat if I am audible and visible to each and every one of you. Quickly let me know in the chat if I'm audible and visible, because I think I started the live 10 minutes ago and I was speaking to myself and then I realized I'm not live. So that doesn't happen. So if I'm live, let me know in the chat quickly if I'm audible and visible to each and every one of you. Quickly let me know in the chat. I keep the pen. So students, before we start the video, I want everyone to like the video first. Like the video right now, because you know this video is going to be the everything which you ask for your class 12 chapter. That is, we'll be doing every single line of NCERT, and this is going to be your last chapter of your ecology. See, the first chapter which we did was ecology first, ecosystem, done. Yesterday we did day for yesterday we did organism and population, done. And today's video we'll be finishing the complete ecology, the last chapter, that is biodiversity and conservation. So while we wait for everyone to join, I have few questions. While we wait for everyone to join, let me ask you a few questions. Let's see who is able to solve this question. The first question here from the NEET 2023, and if you look at such questions, you will have an idea from this chapter which type of question you can expect. For example, the first question here is the historic convention on biological diversity, the Earth Summit, was held in Rio de Janeiro in the year. No concept. There is completely no concept in this. Direct fact-based question. It is a direct fact-based question. Let's see how many of you are able to solve this question. Let's see, ma'am. Yes. Let's see who's able to solve this question. Now this is a direct fact-based question. So students, in this chapter, you can expect a direct fact-based question. There will be no concept whatsoever. So answer here is your 1972 is the answer. Now students, I have around 20 to 25 questions in this video. We'll be solving all the questions, and I will be telling you exactly from which line of NCERT which question has been derived. For example, let's look at another question. That is, the species of plants that play a vital role in controlling the relative abundance of other species in a community is called as. That is, one species is controlling the functioning of other species. Such type of species are called as. I'll give you 10 seconds. Let's say 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Students, this is actually a line from NCERT, but in a much more indirect fashion. The answer to this question is your keystone species. Keystone species are the species which are the most vital for a particular ecosystem to function. The example for a keystone species in the case of plants is going to be a banyan tree. Yes, it's a keystone species. In the case of animals, it's going to be elephant, a tiger, a otter, or a beaver. All of these are the keystone species. Or even honeybees are a keystone species. So students, I'll be telling you what is keystone species on which line of NCERT, they have actually taken up the question from. See, again, one more question, simple question, no concept required. That is, exploration of molecular, genetic and species level diversity of novel products of economic importance is known as. It's called as what? It's a line from your NCERT. There is no concept here. It's a direct line from NCERT and a definition is given next to it in a bracket. The answer is your bioprospecting. Students, in today's video, I have a lot of questions. We'll be solving a lot of questions and we'll be reading the lines of NCERT. So with that being said, can we start the chapter? Quickly let me know in the chat if we can start the chapter. Yes, can we start the chapter? I'll be reading the lines of NCERT and I want each and every one of you to go get your NCERT right now. So keep your NCERT next to you. As usual, keep your NCERT next to you, keep a notebook next to you, keep your water bottle next to you, and keep a pencil in your hand and keep marking the lines and writing few points next to it. Okay? So all of you, let's start the decoding of this chapter right now. So all of you read with me. I want each and every one of you I want each and every one of you to read the lines with me, so you do not miss out any word, or do not miss out any definition or anything. Okay, ready? Now, first line of NCERT, if aliens. So the first line itself, they're talking about aliens. If aliens from a distant galaxy were to visit our planet Earth. So what if aliens? What if they already visited? We don't know. What if our alien is visiting our Earth? Can you guess what is the first expression an alien might have? Obviously, the first expression alien will be like, oh my god, this planet is so blue, so green. But inside, we have so many humans, we have so many different types of species. That's right, that's going to be the first expression of not only just humans, not only just aliens, anything or any subject or any type of organism which visits our Earth. That is, the first thing that would amaze and baffle him would be probably the enormous diversity of life that he would encounter. Even for humans, the rich variety of living organisms with which they share this planet never ceases to astonish and fascinate us. For example, let me tell you, especially whenever I go for hiking, or when all of you go for trekking, or you might go for natural visits, or Bandipur National Park, or not only that, you go to a small garden. Just keep looking here and there. You might actually notice a new plant or a new insect which you have never seen your entire life. Example, butterfly. Every single time you go to a garden, you might actually notice a new butterfly altogether, or a new type of ant, or a new type of spider. You might have seen a new color of a spider, right? So not only aliens, even us humans, every single time we visit outside, we get astonished, we get baffled by the amazing biodiversity which we have on Earth, right? The common man would find it hard to believe that there are more than 20,000 species of ants. 20,000. All I know is red ant, big red ant, small red ant, big black ant, a small black ant. All I know is 4 types. But in total, there are how many species, students? In total, there are 20,000 species of ants and 3 lakh species of beetles. Not the music band, the beetles. It's like what I say, you might have seen in this Japanese anime and everything, they have this small beetle battle and all. Beetles and 28,000 species of fishes. This is understandable because we know the marine nature, the marine conditions are so vast. Because the ocean is so vast, we'll obviously have many different types of fishes, right? And nearly 20,000 species of orchids, the beautiful orchids, right? The beautiful flowers of orchids, the Orchidaceae family. Yes, 20,000 species of orchids. Ecologists and evolutionary biologists have been trying to understand the significance of such diversity by asking important questions. Now, what are the important questions? That is, why do we have such biodiversity? How do we have such biodiversity? And how do we need to even protect this biodiversity? All those questions will be answered in today's session and in today's video. So with that being said, let's start the chapter. So can we start? That was just the introduction, right? That was just a small introduction for you. Check. Sound check. I should have seen the chat long back. Till where did you notice? Till where did you? Students, I don't have the chat in front of me today. I put the chat here on the phone because it was showing a reflection and this happens. Great. So till where did you understand? Where did you read? I'll crop it from the video. I'll get it cropped. Don't worry. I'll teach. Don't worry. I'll teach you. Don't worry. From where? Doesn't matter. I'll get it cropped from the video. The main video, I get it cropped this part. So tell me till where did you hear it? Or was it not here from the starting? This topic starting from here. Okay. So we'll just restart everything. So students, I told you beforehand, every single topic, every single scientist name and every single date and species name is going to be more important. So all of you read with me. Biodiversity. In our biosphere, immense diversity. In our biosphere, immense diversity or heterogeneity exists not only at species level but at all levels of biological organization. Now, what do I mean by different biological organization? That is, starting off with macromolecules. Macromolecules, we have homopolymer, heteropolymer, monosaccharide, disaccharide, oligosaccharide. So we have species, we have diversity at macromolecules level. We have diversity at cell level. We have so many varieties of cell. We have variety at tissue level. That is, we have parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. Then we have variety at your species level. Then population level. Then we have community and even biome. At every single level, we have diversity. At every single level, we have diversity. See here, ranging from the macromolecules within the cell to biomes. Biodiversity is the term. Again, students, first important line. Biodiversity is the term popularized by the sociobiologist Edward Wilson. So if you get a question NEET examination, who was the scientist who popularized the term biodiversity? Your answer is going to be Edward Wilson, the first point from this chapter which you need to highlight in your book. Done? Now, to describe the combined diversity at all levels of biological organization, that is macromolecule level, yes, macromolecule level, cell level, tissue level, organization, population level, species level, community, biome, ecosystem, every single level, it's called as biodiversity. And the scientist who popularized the term, his name is Edward Wilson. Okay, clear? I have to keep checking the chat here, otherwise same mistake is going to happen. Now, the entire biodiversity, students, the entire biodiversity can be segregated or can be divided into three main categories. The first one is your genetic diversity, that is at the genetic level. Then we have species diversity, and finally we have the ecological diversity. Now, what is the difference? Let me tell you the difference. The first one is your genetic diversity. A single species might show high diversity at genetic level. That is, genetic diversity is at single species level. So the first point which you need to know for genetic diversity is that genetic diversity works at a species level, not at a community level. Clear? The first point is genetic diversity works at species level. And what is it telling you? It is telling you at a species level, we have wide variety. Best example, mangoes. Because I love mangoes. Mango season is just right on the corner. And my favorite mango is that Totapuri mango. It is, much more sweeter and sour at the same time. And even in the sweeter version, we have Alfonso mango. We have so many different varieties of mango. One more example, rice. We have all the way from, students, last time when I went, I checked, from 30 rupees to 100 rupees, there is a wide variety of rice. Basmati, short rice we have, which we make for pongal. Then we have rice for idli making. Every single variety of rice is kept there based on price point. So at genetic level, we have a wide variety of a single species. We have a wide variety of a single species, right? Over its distribution ranging, right? The genetic variation shown by the medicinal plant. Again, students, important point, mark in your textbook. See, students, I'm going to make you mark every single example today, every single name and every single date. This is where the question is going to come from. Now, the first plant here, we have a medicinal plant which is called as your devil's pepper. It's called as what? Devil's pepper. It's actually a poisonous plant, but it has medical applications. That is, you take a plant of your Rafflesia, that is vomitoria, Rafflesia vomitoria, that is, if you take the plant root and you dry the root, it has many medical applications. Now, let's look at the diversity here. That is, every one of you, please mark this. This Rafflesia vomitoria growing in a different Himalayan regions might be in terms of potency and concentration of active chemical. So this particular plant has an active chemical called as your reserpine. Reserpine is a chemical potency. Now, students, imagine if this is the Himalayan range. If a plant is growing here and if a plant is growing in this range here, yes, in this Himalayan range, if one plant is growing here, one more species will be growing here. The chemical concentration may vary so much that this will produce a lot of chemicals, and this particular plant with the same species but a different variation, and this one might not be so potent. So the potency, the concentration of chemical can vary so greatly in this particular plant. Okay, that the plant produced. That is the first example one. Example number one for genetic variation. The second example, India has more than 50,000 genetically different strains of your rice. The second example which I already told you. For a genetic diversity, the second example is your rice. I told you, all the way from your 30 rupees rice to 100 rupees rice. A variation is there. Yes, a variation is there. That is second example. Then 1,000 varieties of mangoes. The third example is here for your genetic diversity. Clear? The third example for your genetic diversity is here. Now, any doubt in genetic diversity, students? Genetic diversity basically shows you that at genomic level, that is, we have so many different types of variants. Like, you know, Loki you would have watched. In Loki, we have so many different variants. Similarly, we have many variants here of genetic diversity. Okay. Now, let's look at species diversity now. Species diversity. In terms of species, the diversity at species level, for example, the Western Ghats having a greater amphibian species. Again, species level is again for only for species. It is not for a multiple different organisms. In species level also we take a single organism. Example is in your Western Ghats we have a greater amphibian species diversity than the Eastern Ghats. Students, if this is your India map, if this is your India map in the bottom, this is your small Sri Lanka here, this is your Western Ghats here, the near your Karnataka region, Karnataka and your Kerala, Karnataka region and Mumbai region, then we have the Western Ghats here, and here we have the Eastern Ghats. Now in the Western Ghats region, in this region we have more amphibians in the Western Ghats region. Clear? That is the example for your species diversity. Species diversity is changing based on the location here. Now, ecological diversity, the third, much more broader one. That is, at ecosystem level, India, for instance, with its desert. Can you see? We have deserts, we have rainforest, that's in Meghalaya, amazing rainforest. We have your Thar desert here, then mangrove, coral reefs, wetlands, estuaries and alpine meadows have a great ecosystem diversity than a Scandinavian country like your Norway. While in the case of Norway, the diversity of particular ecosystem is not much, but in the case of our amazing India, the diversity is so amazing. That is, if you go to any part of India, you will experience something new. For example, if you come to South India, you will see amazing Western Ghats, you will see amazing mountain ranges. And if you go to your Rajasthan area, you will see desert. And if you go to Jammu Kashmir, you will see snowfall. If you go to your East India, which is filled with amazing green forests, you will see different types of animals there. So throughout India, the diversity is so amazing. So that is the 3 different ways of classification. The first one was your genetic diversity. Second one is your species diversity. And the third one is your ecological diversity. Diversity is basically changing in every place. Now, it has taken millions of years of evolution to accumulate this rich diversity in nature. That is 20 different thousands of ants, more than 40,000, 20,000 different of fishes. Such amazing diversity has taken millions of years. Millions of different steps in evolution has taken place. But we could lose all that wealth in less than 2 centuries if the present rates of species loss continues. That is, the entire diversity can be lost in less than 2 centuries. In your NEET preparation, when we started this amazing Super 6, we had so many students. Everyone was so enthusiastic. Sir, you're teaching with energy and we are here ready to learn. But right now, I am here the same way. I'm teaching the same way. I am teaching with so much of energy. Same concepts. But do you see number decreasing in students? Students, it doesn't matter when you start. It does matter, but the finish needs to be strong. That is, the end of your NEET examination is coming closer. If you do not study at this point in more seriousness, whatever you have done in the past 1 year would be wasted. So this is the final over. This is the final moment. So you need to be more serious right now than ever. So students, be serious in the final over. Study every single day, at least 5 to 6 hours. Dedicate yourself in revision, PYQ practice, every single thing. Because if you do not do right now, the final over, everything will be over for you. Okay. Biodiversity, its conservation is now vital environmental issue for international concern as more and more people around the world begin to realize the critical importance of biodiversity for survival and well-being on this planet. That is, if we really want to continue on this earth, we need to save our earth. That is, we need to make sure the pollution is less. We are conserving the animals. We are not killing other animals. I know, especially the insects, the honeybees are so important. Everything we are realizing right now, and we are taking step towards conservation. Okay. Any doubt here? Ask me. I believe there should be no doubt in this particular concept here. This is straightforward. I have highlighted the most important points here. Can you see? I've highlighted the most important points here. Please focus on these points, students. I know you can be distracted very easily at this point. There would be millions of reasons to get distracted right now, but you just needed one reason to stay focused. Find that one reason right now. And see here, I have marked the important points. I will be marking throughout this chapter important points, and I want every single one of you to mark it with you. Okay. Now, next one. Next topic. That's going to be your how many species are there on this how many in India. So forget the world. Let's focus on India. That is, India being a country which is a tropical country. Obviously, we'll have amazing biodiversity. Yes. So let's look at the biodiversity in India. Okay. So all of you, please read the lines with me. Do not be lazy. Do not be lazy. Read the lines with me. Write the lines with me. Underline the pencil. Write down the important points. I cannot stress enough on that because your NCERT needs to be at your fingertips. NCERT needs to be on your fingertips. Since there are published records of all the species discovered and named, we know how many species in the world have been recorded so far. That is, we have a book. We have a book. In that book, every single information is there. As a kids, you need to have books. Remember, when I was in my class 6th, I used to collect this called as something called as cricket attacks, slam attacks, Pokemon cards. So all these Pokemon cards which I used to collect, I used to record them. Yes, I found Pikachu, Charizard, Bulbasaur, everything. So there are actually people, there are taxonomists, there are zoologists, there are different ecologists. All of them are actually going and counting the census, the different species, and everything has been recorded in a book. Okay. But it is not easy to answer the question, how many species there are on Earth. Why? What could be the reason? Because students, there are so many places on Earth we still haven't explored at all. That is, we actually physically even can't go there. There are certain places like that. There are so many sacred places, that are the tribal places where we are not allowed to even go. So there are so many species which are yet to be discovered, right? Now, according to the International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, that is IUCN, the total number of plants and animals species described so far is slightly more than 1.5 million. But we have no clear idea how many species are yet to be discovered and described. So, according to NCERT, old information little bit, but you need to remember this. That is, in total of 1.5 million species have been identified, but there could be many more that we are yet to be discovered. Okay, yet to be discovered. Estimates vary very widely, and many of them are only educated guesses. That is, we have found a species, there might be more. That is, we are doing some educated guess. We are not even sure. Okay, we are not even sure. For many taxonomic groups, species inventories are more complete in temperate than in tropical countries. Very important line. Can anyone in the chat tell me what is the meaning of this line? That is, many taxonomic groups, species inventories, that is, the entire collection of species, are more completed in the temperate than in tropic countries. What is the meaning of this? The meaning of this is very simple. That is, in the tropic countries, the species diversity is so much. That is, in the case of India and certain countries, the species diversity is so much that it's very difficult to calculate or identify. But in the case of temperate countries, that is much more colder countries, it is easy to calculate or easy to number them. Why? Because species diversity in temperate countries is much more lesser compared to tropic. Example, in case of India, we can easily not calculate. We cannot calculate or we cannot identify the number of species. But in the case of Canada, easily we can, because temperature there is less, species are also less there. Okay, considering that an overwhelming large portion of the species waiting to be discovered are in the tropics. Example is your India, Colombia, all the countries which lie in the equator, especially, the species are yet to be discovered there. Biologists make a statistical comparison of the temperate tropical species richness often exhaustively study groups of insects and extrapolate this ratio to other group of animals and plants to come up with a gross estimate of total number of species on Earth. That is, they're telling you, that is, they do not actually know how many species are there on this particular part of the Earth. That is, they calculate based on statistics. For example, in temperate region, we have around 200 insects. So in the case of tropic region, we might have around 4,000 insects. Are you seeing that? That is called as extrapolation. That is, we are taking one data and we are comparing with other data to identify a particular number. That is called as extrapolation. That has been happening. Okay, extrapolation has been happening. Some extreme estimates ranging from 20 to 50 million. That's 50 million, but a more conservative and scientifically sound estimate made by Robert May, NEET PYQ right here. Every single name is going to be a NEET PYQ. Robert May places the global species diversity at 7 million. About 7 million. Students, this is a NEET PYQ. You might be thinking, sir, are names that important in this chapter? Yes, names are extremely important in this chapter. So students, second name for the chapter, that is your Robert May estimates. That is, we might not have 20 million, 50 million. We might have around 7 million globally, the number of species. So remember the line. Robert May, 7 million species. Okay, Robert May, 7 million species. Next one. Now, let us look NCERT is telling you, let us look now. Let's give a look. Let us look at some interesting aspects about Earth's biodiversity based on currently available species inventories. That is, based on the information which we already have. Let's look at them. Okay, look at them. More than 70%, very important line again. NEET PYQ, very important. Let me write in red. More than 70% of all the species recorded are animals. So out of all the species on Earth, more than 70% are animals. Okay, that line is clear. While plants includes algae, fungi, bryophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms comprises not more than 22%. I don't know why they added fungi in plants. Fungi is separate. I don't know if they have included fungi in plant here. Don't tell me later on some plant kingdom we do not learn fungi. Fungi kingdom is there. Convenience sake. All this is convenience sake. So plants include how much? Not more than 22% of the total. So students, write down here separately all of this, right in your NCERT. In your NCERT, write down all of you. 70% is your animals. 70% is your animals. Not more than 22%. Not more than 22% is your plants. Not more than 20% is plants. Okay. Among animals. Now we know animals make up to 70%. Now if you look at within the 70%, that is, among animals, insects are most species rich taxonomic group, making up more than 70% of the total. Of the 70% of the animals, the most major of them are insects. How do you remember this? So student, tell me in the chat which is the largest phylum. Tell me in the chat which is the largest phylum in your animal kingdom. It's going to be your arthropods. Arthropods mostly make up your insects. So easy way to remember, out of the animal kingdom, out of all the 70% of animals, the majority of them are insects here. Easy to remember? Yes sir, easy to remember. 70% of total. That means that out of every 10 animals on this planet, 7 are insects. That is, all the students who are watching right now, out of 10 of us, 7 are insects. 7 of them are insects. That is not the meaning. Meaning is that in the wild. Okay. Again, how do we explain this enormous diversification of insects? The number of fungi species in the world. Again, very important line. The number of fungi species in the world is more than combined total of species of your fishes, amphibians, reptiles and mammals. So fungi, the species of fungi is more than your fishes, amphibians, reptiles and mammals, as well as mammals. Students, in your NCERT, make a diagram like this, so you do not have to read the entire page later on. So highlight the names, highlight the most important lines, and you're good to go. You do not have to read the entire chapter again. Okay, just look at your short notes. Now this is a figure where they can ask you questions from. If you look closely here, students, that is, first for invertebrates, I told you, in the case of invertebrates, the biggest phylum is your arthropods, and hence insect occupies the largest chunk here. Now tell me in the chat, which is the second largest phylum? The second largest phylum is your mollusca. Again, can you see? Mollusca is the second here. Then we have crustaceans, and finally the other groups, that is Coelenterata, Ctenophora, everything, sponges, all the other insects come under this group here. Clear? Now let's look at the vertebrates. In vertebrates, fishes occupy the major chunk. In terms of vertebrates, fishes will be highest. So how do I remember this? Remember students, in the case of your vertebrates, most of the earth is covered by water. So most of the species are going to be in water. Think of it like that. So fishes is going to be highest. Then comes your amphibians, then comes birds. Second is birds. Then we have mammals and amphibians, the same. Then we have reptiles. Reptiles is second, I guess. Reptiles and birds are almost same. Then we have mammals and amphibians. Clear? Now, if you look at your plants, I told you already, the largest, when it comes to plants, I don't know why fungi is here again, that is going to be your fungi, highest. Then we have your angiosperms. Why do we have many angiosperms here? The reason for your angiosperm is here in the most quantity, most number is, answer is in your plant kingdom. That is, this is the age for your angiosperms. That is, more oxygen. The environment is your environment is for your angiosperm. Before, in the ancient time, ancient era, it was gymnosperms. But right now you can see gymnosperms are very, comparatively very less. See, can you mosses? Then we have algae also is higher, little bit higher. Then lichens and your ferns are little less. Lichens and ferns are little bit less. So they can ask you a question, students. They can ask you a question. They can send you a diagram. Remember the diagram. Okay. Remember the diagram. Diagram is very important. Okay. Diagram is very important. Now, any doubt here, students? Ask me any doubt here. Any doubt here? Ask me. Ask me if you have any doubt here. No doubt, we can go to the next topic. Can we go to the next topic? Why am I wearing glasses? Because I'm getting headache here. Day first, yesterday I took a class here. The white light and the blue screen, I got a really bad headache after the class. So, and I was not able to see the chat also. So I'm wearing glasses today. No doubt here? Amazing. Now, the next one is, it should be noted that these estimates do not give any figure for prokaryotes. That is, did we notice anywhere prokaryotes? In the entire estimation, we did not see anywhere prokaryotes. There is no mention of bacteria or virus anywhere. Why? Because it is so difficult to actually identify them and mark them and count them. So prokaryotes are usually not given much of a chance here. That is, biologists are not sure how many prokaryotic species there might be. The problem is that conventional taxonomical methods, that is your herbarium and all that, not at all applicable to your bacteria. Conventional taxonomical methods are not suitable for identifying microbial species, and many species are simply not culturable under laboratory conditions. If we accept biochemical or molecular criteria for delineating species for this group, then the diversity alone might turn into millions. That is, we have millions of your bacteria and viruses and any type of microorganisms, and that is why we are not even considering them. If we use biochemical methods and genetic methods, we will be able to classify them, but the number is going to be in millions. Number is going to be in millions. Now, although India has only 2.4% of world's land, very important line again. They might not ask you this, but you need to know, out of the entire earth, India is occupying just around 2.4% of the land. Okay, 2.4% of land. Its shares of global species diversity an impressive of 8.1%. That is, the meaning of that line is, earth is on earth, India is around 2.4%. Even though India is just 2.4%, the biodiversity of, if you compare the entire globe's biodiversity, 8.1% of the entire biodiversity of species is on India, is in India. Clear? Even though we are just 2.4%, the biodiversity is almost triple. Okay? Now, that is what makes our country one of the 12 mega diversity countries of the world. Nearly 45,000 species of plants and twice as number of animals have been recorded in India. Important. Now, if we accept maize again, that is, who is this May? May here, who is this May? Is it January, February, May? No, Robert May. If you take the Robert May's global estimate, that is 7 million species on Earth. If you take May's global estimates, only 22% of total species have been recorded so far. Applying this proportion to India's diversity figures, we estimate that there are probably more than 1 lakh plant species. 1 lakh plant species and more than 3 lakh animal species yet to be discovered and described. This is yet to be discovered. So more than 1 lakh plant species and 3 lakh plant species are yet to be discovered. And would we ever be able to compete? Would we ever be able to complete the inventory of biological wealth of a country? The answer is almost no. The reason being that we do not have such expertise. See, even though my batch, that is when I passed out, my batch are around 20 students. We were around 20-25 students. Masters they don't take a lot. Approximately we were 25 students in our class, and all of us learned botany. Now, out of these 25 students, none of them, I think one of them actually went to the taxonomic field. Rest everyone scattered. I came into teaching. My friends went into, some of them went to research. Some of them went to different area itself. So do you see that the manpower, the taxonomists are so rare in India. Taxonomists are so rare in India. That is, consider the immense trained manpower that is taxonomists and the time required to complete the job. It would be so vast. And by the time we actually start to finish, more number of animals and plants would be destroyed by then. That is, the situation appears more hopeless when we realize that a large fraction of the species may face threat becoming extinct even before the plants or animals may even become extinct even before we actually name them or categorize them. That is, nature's biological library, very amazing, beautiful line. That is, nature's biological library is burning even before we catalog the titles of the books stocked there. Before we even see the titles of the book is only burning. That is the situation which is happening. At that rate, the entire biodiversity is actually being lost. Now, let's see a question. The question is here. According to Robert May, the global species diversity is about, students. This is a question from your NEET 2020. You might direct NCERT level question. This is direct NCERT level question. This is, what is the answer? Is it 20 million, 50 million, 7 million, 1.5 million? So Robert May said that on Earth we have around 7 million species. 7 million species. Clear? So students, you need to know that every single line of this NCERT is very important, and you need to know where the questions are actually coming from. That's how you'll understand. So with that being said, the first part of the chapter is over. Now let's go to the most important part, that is your patterns of biodiversity. And I know for a fact when students read this line here, sir, latitudinal gradient, you'll skip this. Many students actually skip this part thinking that very difficult to understand, right? So today we're not skipping it. I'm making sure you understand this topic. Okay, let's start. So students, till now, if you do not have any doubt, hit the like button right now, because we will be starting now patterns of biodiversity. Okay, the first one is your latitudinal gradient. Now tell me, see, this is called as vertical. This is called as horizontal. Now, other name for horizontal is latitudinal. So latitudinal and horizontal are same to same. Okay. Now, latitudinal gradient. Now imagine this is your class. If this is your classroom, right? This is your classroom right here. We have first bench students, we have middle bench students, and we have last bench students, right? First bench, second or third bench, and last bench students. Yes. Now, did you see there is a separation here? This is also called as latitudinal variation. This is also called as latitudinal variation. Variation in latitude. Now let's read the NCERT line with that same picture. The diversity of plants and animals is not uniform throughout the world. Obviously, throughout the world, there is no proper, same type of animals or same quantity or same number of animals you can find. There will always be a variation in the number of animals, right? But show a rather uneven distribution. True. For many group of animals or plants, there are interesting patterns in diversity. Yes, there is an interesting pattern in diversity. Now let's read the diversity pattern. Let's read the diversity pattern. For many groups of animals, I told you, the most well-being the latitudinal gradient in the diversity. In general, species diversity decrease as we move from the equator towards the pole. Wait, let me draw this. If I don't draw this, it's very difficult to explain. If this is the earth, this is the earth here. Yes, sir, this is the earth. In the middle, what do we have? In the middle, we have the equator. Yes. Then here we have the Tropic of Cancer. Then we have your Tropic of Capricorn. Yes. And let me use some different color. This is your polar region. Polar region again. This is the polar region. Now, this is a different color. Let's take this. This is your, this part. This is your temperate region. This is your temperate region. Okay. Now, in the middle, can you see this green color part? This is your tropic region. This is your tropic region. Okay. Now, all of you also please draw the same diagram in your book. All of you draw the same diagram in your book. Tell me when it is done. Tell me when the diagram is drawn. Tell me. Now, let's read the line again. In general, the species diversity decrease as we move away from the equator. So, from this equator, if you go this side or if you go this side, if you go on any other side from the equator, the species diversity is decreasing. So, the species diversity, if there are 100 species here, by the time you go this side, there will be 20 species, or here 25 different species. So, as we move away from the equator, the species diversity is decreasing. Now, we move from the equator, that is towards the poles, with very few exceptions. It is decreasing. Now, what are these exceptions? Let's see the exceptions. That is, with few exceptions. That is, the tropics, latitudinal range of 23.5 degree north. Here, this one, Tropic of Cancer, 23 degree. This is the North Pole. This is the South Pole. 23.5 north. That is the first exception to the 23.5 degree south. Here, 23.5 south. Now, in these two regions, species diversity will be more or less. Tell me in the chat. In these two regions, will the species diversity more or less? It will be actually more. It will be actually more here. Even though we are moving away from the equator, the species diversity will be actually more in the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. Here, the latitudinal range of 20 degrees north to 20 degrees south harbors more species than the temperate or polar areas. So, in this particular regions here, that is, in these two regions, Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, they will also have more species compared to the temperate region. This is temperate region. Compared to temperate region, the Cancer and Capricorn will have more species richness. Okay, more species richness. Polar areas. Now, next line. Look at the next line. Colombia, located near the equator. Here, imagine this is Colombia here. This is the Colombia here. We have Colombia here. Within the South America region, we have Colombia. Colombia, located near the equator region, has nearly 1,400 species of birds. So can we write down here somewhere? Yes. So in case of Colombia, we have around 1,400, right? Yes. 1,400 species of birds. Done. Next one. 1,000 species of birds. While New York at 41 degree north. Okay, look at the map again. Here, 41 degree north. Somewhere here, right? If this is 23, somewhere here, New York. Somewhere here, New York will be there. So New York at 41 degree north has around 105 species of birds. How many are there in New York? NYC has around 105 species of birds. 105. Are you seeing the way you move away from the equator, the species diversity is decreasing. Now, and Greenland at 71 degree north, only 56 species. That if you look at the map again, Greenland will be here, north, right? At 71 degree north. So here, near the polar region. That is in case of Greenland. In the case of Greenland, there are only around 56 species of birds. Only 56 species of birds. In India, with much more of its land near the tropical. So I told you, India is a tropical country. India, with much of its land area in the tropical latitudes, has more than 1,200 species of birds. That is, India is going to be somewhere here. That is, India has around 1,200 species of birds. That's right. India has around 1,200 species of birds. A forest in the tropical region of Ecuador. See, Ecuador again is that country which is in the tropical region. Here, somewhere here in the tropical region. Ecuador has up to 10 times as many species of vascular plants as a forest of equal area in temperate regions like the Midwest of USA. That is, they're telling you, all they're trying to tell you is, in the case of your Ecuador, the same area if you take in the some form of your west part of your America, the same land. But in the case of your Ecuador, if this is your Ecuador, it will have more species diversity because it is near the equator. The largely tropical Amazonian forest in the south of the USA, in the South America has the greatest biodiversity on earth. It is a home for more than 40,000 species of plants. So plants, 40,000 species of plants, 3,000 species of fishes, 3K fishes, and 1,300 types of birds. What's 427 mammals? How many? 427. Now this number is not important. I'll tell you what is important here. 427 amphibians. Amphibians how much? 427. And around reptiles around 378. And more than 1,25,000 invertebrates. How many invertebrates are there? 1,25,000 invertebrates are there. Now, is this number important for you? No. But what is important? The important part here is which particular insect or which particular species is more in number. So if I tell you which is the species which is highest in number, you tell me the highest is going to be your invertebrates. So 1. So highest is going to be your invertebrates. The second one is going to be your plants. Third is going to be your fishes. Fourth is going to be birds. Fifth is going to be amphibians and mammals. The least is going to be reptiles. Now, is this order important? Yes. Why? Because this is a NEET previous year question. This is a NEET previous question that the number is not important. They'll not ask you the number, but they will ask you the order. Which is the ascending order? They'll ask you ascending or descending order, and they'll give you options. Okay? Clear? Did you write down? Did you write down? Tell me, did you write down? And did you write down? Yes. No. Now, what is so special about the tropics that might account for their greater biological diversity? Ecologists and evolutionary biologists have proposed various hypotheses. Some important ones are your, why is it important? Again, important concept. Why do you think in this particular areas, that is tropics, why do you think there is so much of species richness? Why do we have less species in your polar region? What could be the difference? The major difference is going to be your speciation is generally a function of time. Unlike temperate regions subjected to frequent glaciations in the past, the tropical latitudes have remained relatively undisturbed for millions of years and thus had a long evolutionary time for species diversification. Now, what is the first reason? The first reason being, in the case of your tropics, the temperature remains constant. There is no glaciation. So the speciation has happened much more better in the case of your tropics because the temperature, everything has remained constant for species to evolve. And there was more time also for species to evolve here. Okay. Second one, tropical environments, unlike temperate ones, are less seasonal. Obviously, in the case of your tropical, less seasonal, right? Relatively more constant and predictable. Such constant environment promote the niche specialization and lead to the greater species diversity. The second one is your constant environmental conditions. The third point, there is more solar energy. Obviously, in the case of your countries like India and countries in the equator, there is much more solar energy. If there is more solar energy, meaning what? There will be more plants doing photosynthesis. So more primary productivity and more types of food chains. Yes, solar energy is available in the tropics, which contributes to the high productivity. This is in turn might contribute indirectly towards the great diversity. Students, this paragraph is important. They can ask you a question. Why is the species diversity more in the case of tropics? 3 reasons. 3 reasons. So please note down the 3 reasons. Okay. Note down the 3 reasons. All the 3 are very important. Okay, all the 3 are very important. Now the first one was your latitudinal gradient. Done. As we moved away from the equator, the species regions decreased. Now, second one is called as your species area relationship. It's called as what? Species area relationship. Now, as the name suggests, it is telling you species, it is telling you area. It is telling you species, it is telling you area. Now, let me ask you a simple question. Have you played cricket in your neighborhood, in your gully? You would have played cricket. I also played cricket. I have played football also in my gully. Okay. When you're playing cricket, now if one guy hits for a 6 and the ball is going out of the compound and it is falling somewhere. Yes, the ball has gone out of compound and it has fallen somewhere. Now all your friends, all of you will gather. All of you will gather and you will go search the ball. But when you're searching for the ball, the more you search, the more number of balls do you find. Yes, the previously lost balls, do you find those balls also? Yes. Now what is the meaning? The meaning here is the more you search, more number of balls did you find? Yes. So similarly, there was a scientist, I'll tell you the name here in the next 2 minutes. He proposed a theory that the more area you search, more number of species you will find. Same meaning? Yes. Now you tell me, is there a chance of finding 1000 balls in the backyard? No. So what is the meaning here? The more you search, more number of balls you will get. But there is a limit, only up to a limit. Similarly, The more you search for animals, more animals you'll find, but only up to a certain limit. That is the meaning of species area relationship. Okay, species area relationship. Let's read this now. During his pioneering and extensive exploration in the wilderness of South America jungles, the great Alexander, the great German naturalist and geographer Alexander von Humboldt, observed that within, see, line is coming here, within a region, species richness increased. Within a region, within your playground, the species region increase. Species richness increase with increasing explored area. The more you explore, the more species richness was increasing. Yes, but only up to a limit. In fact, the relation between species richness and area for a wide variety of taxa, that is angiosperm plants, birds, bats, fishes and everything, turns out to be a rectangular hyperbola. If you look at the graph, you'll understand now. See, this is your rectangular hyperbola here. This is your rectangular hyperbola. That is, the more area you search, can you see? The more area you search, the graph is increasing. Yes, this is the maximum you attend. This is the maximum you're attending. But after a certain time, there would not be an increase. There would not be an increase in the species richness within a area. Okay. So if you plot a graph between species richness and area, you will obtain a rectangular hyperbola. Okay. Now if you add your maths to this, if you add your logarithm to this, you'll obtain a much more linear graph with a sharp, steep slope. That is, if you add your logarithm, you'll obtain a steep slope here. That is, on all the logarithmic scale, the relation is a straight line described by a equation. Now, what is the equation which has come in your NEET examination also? The equation right here is, which has repeated in NEET examination, is your log S is equal to log C plus Z log A. What is it? Repeat after me. Repeat after me. It is log S is equal to log C plus Z log A, where S is your species richness, C is your y-intercept, Z is your slope of the line, that is called as regression coefficient, and A is called as your area. And students, they can ask you an examination. What is S, what is C, what is Z, what is A? You should know. But what is the concept of species richness? Species area richness concept is very simple. The more you explore, the more you find, but only up to a certain limit. Clear? Did you understand? Did you understand? Yes. Yes, I am from Karnataka. Now, that is the meaning of this. Okay. Now, ecologists have discovered that the value of Z line, very important line, the value of Z line lies in the range of your 0.1 to 0.2. 0.1 to 0.22. Now, this area, that is from 0.1 to 0.2, is usually area for a small group of species. That is, small group as well as small distance. For example, regardless of taxonomic groups of the region, whether it is in plants in Britain or birds in California or mollusks in New York state, the slope of the regression are similar, amazingly similar. Why? Because your California, New York and Britain are almost close. Not very close, because obviously one is in Europe and one is in the US, but they're almost not so different. The slope is almost same here, ranging from 0.1 to 0.2. But if you are analyze the species area relationship among very large area, if you look at a very large area, that is intercontinent, the number of Z, the value of Z becomes higher, the slope becomes much more steeper. That is, the entire continent, you will find that slope of the line is much more steeper. The z value in the range from your 0.6 to 0.1. The slope is changing now. Well, because if you compare different continents, the z line will change. For example, the frugivores, that is fruit-eating animals, fruit-eating birds and animals in a tropical forest of different continents, the slope is different. If you look at the fruit-eating birds in different continents, the slope is going to change. Okay, that is your entire species area relationship. Let's see if you can see the question. If you can see the question and solve the question also. This is the question from your NEET 2022. NEET 2022 question. Let's see. If you're able to solve the question, I want everyone to hit the like button right now. Hit the like button right now and solve this question. Let's see who can solve this question. Let's see who can solve this question. A species area relationship is described by the following. That is, log S is equal to log C plus Z log A. We just learned that. Now here they're asking you, what is basically the Z? What is Z? What is Z? Is it area? Is it species richness? Is it slope of the line? Or is it y-intercept? Which is it? I'll give you 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. All of you know Z is the slope of the line. Z is the slope of the line. Clear? Z is the slope of the line. Next question. Yes. Next question is here. Now, remember I told you the Amazon rainforest, I made you write down the numbers. This is a question from your NEET previous year question. They're not asking you the number, but they're asking you the order. They're asking you the order. Give a correct descending order. Descending means highest to smallest. Highest to smallest descending order of organisms with reference to their estimated number found in the Amazon forest. Now tell me, if you remember correctly, the highest number was found in your invertebrates first. Then remember we had second highest was fishes first. Second highest was your fishes. Then we had your plants. Yes. No, second was your plants. Sorry. Second was your plants. I remember 40K. This is third. Fishes was your third. Then we had birds. And finally, fifth was the mammals and amphibians were almost same. Last was reptiles. But here reptiles is not given, amphibians is not given. So which is the first? First is going to be invertebrates, that is B, anywhere B is given. Yes, these two options are gone. B here, both of them. Then second was your plants, A. Both are still there. Third one was your fishes. Is given here, they are given birds. So this is the answer. Option number 4 is right. Option number 4 is right here. Clear? D is the answer. D is the right answer. Students, I know you might be thinking, sir, will they ask the numbers? No, but you need to know the order. You need to know which is the highest. Okay. Next question. Let's see who can solve this from your NEET 2020 question. According to Alexander von Humboldt, what is species area richness? What is species area richness? Anyone? Students, I want every one of you to like the button, subscribe to the channel. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel and also share the video as much as possible. Because students, trust me, I am teaching you every single line of NCERT and making you solve all the questions from this chapter. Species richness decrease with increase in area explanation. Species richness increase with increased area, but only up to a limit. Here, we got the answer. Option number 2. Option number 2 is the answer. Easy. Option number 2. Right? Species richness increase with increase in area, but only up to a limit. Only up to a limit. Now students, before we go to the next part, I want everyone to know one particular point here. That is, students, we know. Right now I'm teaching you online, you're sitting offline. You're sitting in your house, you're watching me from here. But students, this is where the technology is coming into the picture. The amazing technology. But if I tell you, what if there is even more next level to this? That is Vedantu offline center, where we are actually using technology and science together. Technology and science are looking at so much that we have something called as smart clickers. Because when I was in my class, when I was studying, whenever I used to be in the class, when the teacher used to ask question, Yes, when the teacher used to ask question in the class, I used to be, feel a little shy to answer the question in the class. I used to think, what if my teacher judges me? But for that very reason, to counter that part where students, don't answer in the class, we have something called as smart clickers. If you are in the offline center of Vedantu and you're sitting right there in the center and learning from a teacher, the teacher will ask you a question. Like how you type in the chat right now. How you're typing in the chat right now, option number D, option number A. In the class, you will have a smart clicker. All you need to do is click on the answer will be gone there. So no more shyness. So students, if Vedantu Center is near you, go join right now. Go join right now to the Vedantu Center, and that will be the most beneficial for you. And this is going to be offline, but it comes at a cost. There is a cost for this, and if you want to reduce the cost, there is something called as your scholarship. And if you're smart, I know all of you are smart. Write the scholarship exam, that is IVSAT exam, and you will get up to 70% discount on the courses. So what are you waiting for? Go join the offline center with smart clickers. Okay. So with that being said, can we start the next part of the chapter? With that being said, can we start with the next part of the chapter, that is importance of species diversity in the ecosystem? The next part is, why is the species important? Can anyone tell me in the chat, what is the importance of species diversity? Why do we need to have such diversity of species on Earth? What is the reason? Anyone in the chat who can tell me? Anyone in the chat who can tell me, why do we need such amazing diversity, of different animals or plants or insects or microbes? What is the need? Do we really need them? Do we really need such diversity? Why can't we just kill everything and only humans are surviving? Only humans are there everywhere. We'll take some plants for photosynthesis. Why do we need even animals? Why do we need tiger? Why do they say save tiger, save elephant? Why? What could be the reason behind it? Let's look at it. Does the number of species in a community really matter to the functioning of an ecosystem? That is, even if we lose around 1,000 tigers, will it make a difference in the ecosystem? Yes. What is the difference? If the tiger number is coming down, deer number is coming up, more number of deer, more it is eating plants, less productivity, less food for us, less completely food for anything, complete ecological imbalance. That is the answer. This is a question for which ecologists have not been able to give a definite answer, but I gave you a small answer. For many decades, ecologists believed that communities with more species, communities with more species generally tend to have more stable, generally tend to be more stable than those with less species. For example, right now, I have so many friends. One of my friends is a doctor. So if I have a difficulty, I'll go tell him, instead of going to going and paying in a hospital, I go to my friend, bro, see this, I have a little bit of cough, can you look at it? I have a friend who is a lawyer. I'll go to her if I have any problem. Are you seeing this? I have a friend who is a teacher like me. If I have a doubt, I'll ask them also. I have a friend who's an engineer, software engineer. If anything problem, if I have my laptop, I'll ask my friend. I have a friend who's a mechanical engineer. Any problem in my bike, I ask him. Are you looking what pattern I'm telling you? That is, within now, the more species, that is, believe that communities with more species. See, my friend circle is a community. In this community, the species richness is high. Yes, the species richness is high in my community. That every single time I have a problem, I'll ask them. That is, my friend circle, I have such a friend circle that our entire community is much more stable. Imagine if I didn't have a friend who is not a doctor, lawyer, or a teacher or anything. Every single time I need a help, I would have to go ask someone else. But right now, my community is so stable with such species diversity, nothing can harm it. That's what they're telling you here. For many decades, ecologists believed that communities with more species, more number of species, generally tend to be more stable than those with less species. Imagine if I did not have any friends. I had one friend. And that friend is only a doctor. What if I needed a lawyer that time? I would have to go somewhere else and ask for a different lawyer. So more number of species, more stable it is. What exactly is the stability for biological? What exactly is community? A stable community should not show, again, very important lines. What is a stable community now? The next question comes, what is a stable community now? Now, what is the meaning of a stable community now? Can anyone tell me? Here is the lines of NCERT. Mark the lines of NCERT with me. What is a stable community now? A stable community should not, very important, should not show too much variation in productivity from year to year. It must be either resistant to or resilient to occasional disturbances, natural or man-made. First point. That is, it should be very stable. Whatever drought might come in, whatever lack of water, lack of this thing, the particular community be like, no, I will not change. Whatever happens, my life, my rules. That is the community should have. That is a stable community. Okay. And it must also resist to invasion by alien species. That is, it should know karate, mixed martial art. That is, any alien species is coming, the community should be able to fight back the alien species. Second point. This is the second point here. We don't know how these attributes are linked to species richness in a community, but again, very important line. David Tillmans. Students, I am going to make you write every single scientist today. Every single scientist I'm going to highlight. So please, you also should highlight in your book. Okay. David Tillmans' long-term ecosystem experiment using outdoor plots provide some tentative answer. Tillman found, what did you find? Tillman found that plots with more species, imagine there are 2, 3, if there is a plot 1, plot 2, plot 3 and plot 4, a plot with more species showed less year-to-year variation in total biomass. So if a plot has more number of species, it will show less variation in changing in biomass. For example, there are 100 species here, there are around 10 species here, here we have 1000 species, 1000 species, 10 species, 100 species, and we have around here 50 species. Now tell me, which particular plot will show higher biomass, or which particular species, which particular plot will show less change? Obviously this particular species, this particular plot here, because this plot here has more species richness, this plot right here has more species richness, and hence less variation year after year in the case of biomass. Who told us? Our uncle Tillman here. Tillman. He also showed that his experiment increased diversity contributed to higher productivity. So if there is more species here, there is more productivity. Now students, I do not want all of you to be thinking, sir, is this in terms of money? Is it in terms of rice or wheat or maize? No, the productivity here is, the productivity they're talking here is in terms of fixing oxygen, in terms of, increasing the primary productivity. That is increasing the food chain, not economical. It is not economical here. That should be in your mind. You should not be thinking, will this give me 1000 kg of rice, 10 kg of rice, 100 kg of rice? No, that is not what we are talking here. Okay? We're talking in terms of your productivity for the environment, for the ecological succession. Okay? Any doubt here, students? Any doubt here you can ask me? Is every line of NCERT clear to you? Are you understanding every line of NCERT? If you are able to understand every line of NCERT, hit the like button right now. If you are able to understand this paragraph, every single scientist, hit the like button right now, and also some energy in the chat. So you're seeing how much of energy we have in the sea. Everyone thinks this is a very boring chapter and very easy to read. And last minute I'll keep this chapter. But students, do not keep ecology to the last. Ecology can become a biggest burden in your preparation if you do not pay attention to it. You might be thinking there is no concept to learn here. But students, remember, there's certain points like this, like a Tillman, Edward, your May, all the scientists' name, their contribution becomes very vital for your understanding. Okay. Now, next paragraph. Although we may not understand completely how species richness contribute to well-being of our ecosystem, we know enough to realize that rich biodiversity is not only essential for ecosystem health, but imperative for every survival for human race on this planet. That is, species richness is not only important for your well-being of an ecosystem, but also for your greedy little humans. Okay, at a time when we are losing species at an alarming pace, one might ask, does it really matter if we lose a few species become extinct? Right? You might have question in your head that is it okay if I lose around 10,000 species of ants? How will it make a difference? It makes a difference. Example is coming. One experiment is coming again, I'll tell you. That is, would Western Ghats ecosystem be less functional if one of its tree frog species is lost forever? How is our quality of life affected? Imagine in Western Ghats right now. If a frog extinct, doesn't matter. Did our life class stop? No. But will it make a difference in the future? Yes, it will make a difference in the future. Instead of 20,000, we say we only have 15,000 species of ants on Earth. Does it make a difference? Does all of these particular points make a difference? Yes. You might be thinking it is just one frog. Remember students, right now it's one frog. Later it becomes 100 frogs, 1,000 frogs. One by one, if our diversity is lost. On a long run, everything will make sense. Example I'll tell you. We have an amazing scientist who gave an example of an aeroplane example. Let's read it and I'll explain you. There is no direct answer to which naive question. That's stupid question. There is no direct answer. That is a very stupid and naive question. There is no direct answer to this. But we can develop a proper perspective towards through an analogy. Analogy means an example. The rivet popper hypothesis. Now, what is this rivet popper hypothesis? Students, remember, rivet is nothing but a, there's no R. Rivet is like your nut or a bolt. It is like a nut or a bolt. Popper, meaning of popper is the nut and the bolt are getting popped. They're getting popped. From where? From an aeroplane wing. For example, students, this is an aeroplane wing. On this aeroplane wing, we have so many different types of nuts and bolts. Now imagine whenever a passenger is getting down from the aeroplane, imagine if he or she takes one bolt. Imagine this is a nut bolt. Imagine one person is taking away this nut. Gone. Imagine similarly if every single human is taking one nut or a bolt or a rivet from an aeroplane wing. Eventually, after some time, will the aeroplane wing stay okay? Obviously not. Aeroplane wing will open up and it will be lost forever. Just like how I told you, if one frog is gone, will it make a difference? At that point, no. But at a longer run in the future, will it make a sense? Yes. That is the answer I'm telling you. That is, even if you remove one rivet, even if you remove one species, rivet is considered as a species here. Okay, even if you remove one rivet right now, it will not make a difference. But on a longer run, if one entire complete rivets are removed, aeroplane plane is gone, aeroplane will not be able to fly, one big crash will happen. That is, the crash is going to be your complete crash of the ecosystem. Okay, crash of the ecosystem. See here, used by a Stanford ecologist, Paul Ehrlich, again important, students who gave rivet popper experiment. Popper means getting popped. In an aeroplane is called as what? Ecosystem here. Aeroplane is considered as a ecosystem. All parts are joined together using thousands of rivet. Now what is the rivet? Rivet is nothing but your nut bolt, which is considered as species here. Aeroplane is the ecosystem, rivet is the species. If every passenger traveling in it starts popping a rivet to take home, causing species to become extinct. So what is the meaning of popping a rivet? The meaning of popping a rivet is taking away a species. Imagine one rivet is gone, one species is gone. That is the meaning. Okay. it may not affect flight safety, that is proper functioning of ecosystem initially. Starting will not make a difference, but later in the future it will. That is, but as more and more rivets are removed, the plane becomes dangerously weak over a period of time. After a certain time, the entire plane becomes very weak. Furthermore, such rivet is removed may be critical. Furthermore, which rivet? This is important. Furthermore, which rivet is removed? Imagine if I am removing a rivet here, it won't make a difference. Imagine if I break my finger here, it won't completely damage my movement. Imagine what if I break my shoulder? Major loss. Yes. Imagine if I break a bone here, will it make a difference much? No. Imagine if I break my entire shoulder, will I be able to lift this hand? Gone completely. So that is that they are telling you. Imagine if we remove that one species which is holding the entire ecosystem. That is called as your keystone species. That is called as your keystone species. Imagine what if we remove the keystone species itself. That is loss of rivet on. Furthermore, which rivet, that is which particular type of species is removed may also be critical. Loss of rivet on the wings, that is even if the wing is gone, that is the keystone species that drive the major ecosystem functions is obviously a more serious threat to flight safety than the loss of a few rivet on the seat or window or inside the plane. So what is the most important one they're telling you here? The most important rivet or the most important species is on the wing, and if you remove the wing itself, that is if you remove the most important species called as your keystone species, are the species which make sure the entire ecosystem is balanced. Example, elephant, tiger, honeybees, banyan tree. If you remove the entire such plants or such animals from the ecosystem, the entire ecosystem will be damaged. That is called as your keystone species. That is called as your keystone species. Now, answer this question, all of you. In rivet popper hypothesis, Paul Elcher compared the rivet in an aeroplane to what? And this is your NEET 2023 question. NEET 2023 question. See here, very easy question if you wrote NEET last year. And some of the students who miss this paragraph, they will never understand. If you miss the story, you will never be able to follow it. So students, what is your rivet popper hypothesis say? What is the answer? The species is considered to, the rivet is considered to be your species within a genus. Option number 1. Option number 1 is the answer. Okay. Option number 1 is the answer. Now, that is the first part of the chapter. Rivet hypothesis is done. Now, can we start loss of biodiversity? Can we start loss of biodiversity now, students? Can we start? I'll tell you, there are so many important points here. There's so many important points here. Starting part, they might not ask a question, but there is something called as evil. Evil is coming now. From that evil, lot of questions have come. At least every single year, if you ask me from this chapter, where can I get a question? That is going to be your evil part. The four causes of biodiversity loss. That is going to be most important. But before we go to the 4 main causes of biodiversity loss, let's look at the loss of biodiversity. What is loss of biodiversity now? Can we start? Now, all of you read with me now. While it is doubtful if any species are being added through speciation into Earth's treasury of species, there is no doubt about their continued loss. All of us know, even though we might not know if new species has been added through speciation, but we are certain that some species is being lost. The biological wealth of our planet has been declining rapidly, and accusing fingers is clearly pointed towards our human activities. That could be pollution, industries, mining, every single human activity, industrialization, every single thing is pointing towards you and me. You and me. That is humans. The colonization of tropical Pacific island by humans. So humans, when humans colonized, when the humans went and colonized which area? Tropical Pacific islands, it is said that it is said to have led to extinction of more than 2,000 species of native birds. Oh my God. Just by going and colonizing in your Pacific regions, we have completely destroyed around 2,000 birds, species of birds. The IUCN Red Board, again, NEET PYQ from here. NEET PYQ also have come from here. NEET PYQ also come from here. The IUCN Red List 2004 documents the extinction of 784 species, including 338 vertebrates to 339 invertebrates, 37 plants. Again, data is not important, the number is not important, the order is important. In the last 500 years, so in the last 500 years, more than 784 species, not 38, 784 species have been extinct. That is, again, examples is very important, very important, very important. Some examples of recent extinction includes dodo, that is your flightless bird, that is from your Mauritius. Then you have cougar from Africa, Thylacine from your Australia, stellar sika from Russia, very important one. This has been asked as a question. See, from Russia, and 3 subspecies of Bali, Java, and Caspian of tigers. The last 20 years alone have witnessed disappearance of 27 species. So in last 20 years, students, before I was born, by the time I have been born, you have been born, more than 27 species have been lost. 27 species have been lost. Imagine that many rivets have been popped out. Imagine, what if a critical rivet pops out? The entire ecological imbalance can happen. Even though so many things are happening in the world, we are still not aware of those. Careful analysis of records show that extinction across the taxa are not random. Obviously, some groups like amphibians, again, very important. There are some kids, right? There are some people in this world. Even if you scold them once, they will understand. They're like, okay, sensitive ones. But there are some kids, how much ever you scold them, they will not understand anything. But there are some kids very sensitive. The sensitive kid in the class is amphibians. Amphibians are very sensitive. Little bit you change, they'll not survive. Amphibians appear to have more vulnerability to extinction. Very important line. This can be asked as a question. Which particular group of species is more susceptible or more vulnerable to extinction? Your answer should be what? Your answer should be amphibians. Hidden line of NCERT again. Again can ask as a question. Again can be asked as a question. Adding to the grim scenario of extinction is the fact that more than 15,500 species of worldwide are facing the threat of extinction. That is the endangered species. Endangered species. How many? 15,500 species are on verge of extinction. That is endangered species. Presently, 12% of all birds, 23% of all mammals, 32% of all the amphibians, and 31% of all gymnosperm species in the world face the threat of extinction. This they will not ask you. The numbers are not important again. Numbers are not important. I know they cannot expect you to remember so much, but this is important again. These numbers are important. Small percentage, they might not ask you. Okay. From a study of the history of life on Earth through fossil records, we learn that a large-scale loss of species like one we are currently witnessing have also happened earlier, even before the human appeared on the scene. That is your dinosaurs extinction, ice age extinction, gymnosperms, complete destruction of gymnosperms happened. So before humans even came on this earth, there has been multiple chapters in extinction. But what is different about this one? The difference about this one is that this particular chapter is happening at a much more faster rate. Much more faster rate. Okay. Okay. During the long period, that is more than 3 billion years since the origin and diversification of life on Earth, there were 5 episodes. How many episodes? 5 episodes of mass extinction of species. How is the 6th extinction that is presently right now? The 6th one. The 6th one, how is it any different? Okay, the difference is in the rate. That is, the current species extinction rate is estimated to be 100 to 1000 times faster than the pre-human times. That is, if in the ancient time 1000 species became destroyed in 10 years, right now 1000 species are being destroyed in 1 year. That is the faster rate is happening right now. Faster rate of destruction. And our activities are responsible for the faster rate. Ecologists warn that if the present trend continues, nearly half of all the species on Earth might be wiped out within the next 100 years. So within the next 100 years, the next 1 century, half of the species would be destroyed. So in general, loss of biodiversity in a region may lead to decline in the plant production also. That is, in general, loss of diversity in region may lead to. So what are the effects of loss of diversity? What are the effects of loss of biodiversity? The first effect of loss of biodiversity is decrease in the plant production. Right now, effects. What are the different effects? The first one is your decline in the plant production. Decline in the plant production. Decline in the plant production. Second one is your lowered resistance to environmental perturbations such as your drought. That is lowered resistance. Lowered resistance. Third one is your increased variability in certain ecosystem processes such as your plant productivity, water issues, and pest and disease cycles. That is increased variability. So there will be more variations. That is your drought and everything. More variations can happen, right? More variations can happen. Now, cause of biodiversity loss. Now, we learnt about what is loss of diversity. We know how much biodiversity has been losing permanently. We know. We also know what are the effects. We just learned the effects of your biodiversity. But then what are the causes of biodiversity? That is the most important. That is the accelerated rate of species extinction that world is facing right now largely is due to the human activities. There are 4 major causes called as the evil quadrat. The evil quadrat is the subsequent used to describe them. So there are the major 4 factors. The major 4 factors in the species decrease or loss of biodiversity is the first one is your habitat loss and fragmentation. So can we start, students? No break. I want to finish this chapter in one shot without taking any break so that everyone can follow this. Naruto is here. Wow. Naruto should go back to Leaf Village. What is he doing here? So can we start now? Habitat loss and fragmentation. Habitat loss and fragmentation. Now students, from here, numerous questions. For example, habitat loss and your overexploitation. Then we have your alien species invasion, and the fourth one is co-extinction. These 4 particular topics of loss of biodiversity has been asked repeatedly along with your in situ and ex situ conservation. So these are very important. Oh, questions have come. My mistake. Questions came out. Okay. So these are very important. So listen to me very carefully. Okay. Can we start? Ready? Yes, sweetie. Crazy, all of you are ready? Give me a thumbs up in the chat or something to show if you're ready. And also, like the video. There are so less likes. So like the video right now, all of you. Like the video right now. If you're watching it right now, like the video. And we can start. Now, the first one is your habitat loss and fragmentation. Imagine, what if we take away the house only? Imagine we are taking away the house of the particular insect. Where will the insect stay? Insect can wander some places, but eventually the insect will die. The polar bear. We are taking away the habitat of polar bear. Have you seen the pictures when the polar bear is sitting on a small glacier? That is, because of the global warming, the habitat of the polar bear is completely destroyed. Gone forever. So the first main factor, also called as this is the most important cause in driving animals and plants extinct. Very important line, NEET PYQ. The most main reason for the species or the biodiversity loss is going to be your habitat loss and fragmentation. The most dramatic example of habitat loss comes from your tropical rainforest. Once covering the 14%, the tropical rainforest once covering the 14% of the Earth's land surface, these rainforests now cover no more than 6%. Totally, in the case of deforestation, before initially we had around 14% of Earth was covered by tropical forests. Right now, it's only 6%. So, can you tell me certain amount of land or the forest is gone? If forest has been decreased, species are also lost which are present inside that forest. Yes, they are being destroyed fast. By the time you finish reading this chapter, 100,000 more hectares of rainforest would have been lost. The Amazon rainforest, very important PYQ, called the lungs of the planet, harboring more, probably millions of species, is being cut and cleared for cultivation of your stupid soya beans or for conservation of conversion of grasslands for raising the beef cattle. Now students, this is not only for milk, it's eating purposes. Cattling. Besides the total loss, the degradation of many habitats by the pollution also threatens the survival of many species. When large habitats are broken into small fragments due to the various human activities, mammals, birds requiring large area, example elephants, tiger, everything, large territories, and certain animals with a migratory habitat are badly affected, leading to the population decline. So what did we do here? We completely destroyed the forest. Deforestation for books could be anything. Deforestation for grasslands, deforestation for cultivation, the major cause for deforestation. Okay, that is important. The second one is your overexploitation. Example I'll give you. TV. Imagine when you were kids. Okay, right now it's phone for you. When I was, TV was everything for me. So in my house, I had a chance that I can watch the TV only for 1 hour or 2 hours per day. That's it. But later on, when the parents went home, went out for some night, or went to village, or went back to their native, I was alone in the house. What did I do? Did I watch the TV for only 1 hour, or did I watch the TV for 10 hours? 10 hours. That is called as overexploitation. Now imagine if I watch the TV for 10 hours every single day, what would have happened to my eyes? Completely destroyed. That is called overexploitation. Imagine if I give you the phone, you have the phone in your hand. Instead of watching the lecture, imagine if you do all activities overexploit the phone. Harmful for you. Your time is being lost. Yes, that is overexploitation. That is, humans have always depended on nature for food and shelter and money. But when the need turns into greed, very important line, when the need turns into greed, it leads to overexploitation of natural resources. That is, we are growing more rice, growing more wheat, growing more medicinal herbs everywhere. That is, many species extinction in last 500 years, that is, stellar sea cow. We exploited this animal so much, it became extinct. Then we have passenger pigeon. That is, we are sending so many letters, so many things. We are like kabutar, ja, so much we did. The pigeon never came back. The pigeon never came back. We were due to overexploitation by humans. Presently, many marine fishes population around the world are over-harvested. So many fishes have been over-harvested that it can become extinct. How much can even the fishes take? Right? Beating. Endangering the continued extinction of some commercially important species. That can also be said true for your plants also. Now, third one is your alien species invasion. That is, one ecosystem was proper. We are like, nah, this is too, what do I say, too balanced. Let's destroy it. How do you destroy it? By bringing in the third party. When two parties are fighting, third party is coming and completely destroying it. Remember the story when you were kids? Two cats are fighting, one monkey came in and took all the roti. Third species is coming, completely destroying the two species. That is invasion. Alien species invasion. Again, example is very important here. I'll tell you, examples are very important here. When alien species are introduced unintentionally or deliberately for whatever purpose, some of them turn invasive. They become, that is, uncontrollable. They'll grow, causing decline or extinction of indigenous species. The meaning of indigenous is the species which are present before. For example, I am here. If someone else is coming and they're like, go, you're not ready here, push, or exploit, alien species coming, I'm gone. So indigenous species is gone. Someone else has come inside. Right? Example is very important. The first one is your Nile perch. Nile perch is a fish introduced in the Lake Victoria in the East Africa, led to eventually the extinction of your ecologically unique assemblage of more than 200 species of your cichlid fish. Cichlid or cichlid fish in the lake. You must be familiar. That is the first one. First example, your Nile perch on acting on your cichlid fish. You must be familiar with the environmental damage caused by threat posed by to our native species by invasive weed like your carrot grass. It's called your Eichhornia. Students, remember, there's a famous theory behind it. That is, Eichhornia actually came into our earth, our India as a mixed weed. Not Eichhornia, Lantana camera. Lantana camera came to as a mixed weed into our India. That is Parthenium, Lantana camera, and water hyacinth. Remember water hyacinth, which causes the terror of Bengal. For your beauty, we got to India. But because of the vegetative propagation, that is your offset, it propagated so much. Water hyacinth, Eichhornia. The recent illegal introduction of your African catfish. Third example. This is the second one. All three are second one. Catfish, that is Clarias garipinus, for the aquaculture purpose, is posing a threat to the indigenous catfish in our rivers. So catfish example. Third one, remember students. 3 examples for your alien species invasion. Now fourth one is co-extinction. I'll give you a simple example. Listen. In the last chapter we learned that wasp and the fig have a connection between them. That is, wasp will lay the eggs inside the fig fruit larvae. Fig will provide the nutrition to the growing larvae. Now imagine something happens to the wasp. Wasp doesn't, not in the picture now. Will the fig be surviving? No, because there is no one to pollinate the fig. So fig will also die. Yes. So both the insect and the pollinators both are gone. Similarly, imagine there is liver fluke. Liver fluke in humans. Imagine if humans extinct, can the liver fluke survive? No. So parasite and host also are connected. If host is dying, parasite is also dying eventually. Okay, that is co-extinction. When a species become extinct, the plant and the animal species associated with it in an obligatory way also become extinct. When a host fish species become extinct, it's a unique assemblage of parasite. See, host is extinct, parasite is also becoming extinct. Also meets the same fate. Another example in the case of your co-evolved plant pollinator mutualism. I told you, fig and wasp, where one extinction of one invariably leads to extinction of other. That is your co-extinction. So with that, the major quadrant is over. Let's solve some questions now. Let's solve some questions. Question number 1. That is the evil quadrant, which is considered the most important causing the driving extinction of species. Which is the one? Which is the 4 quadrant? Co-extinction, habitat loss and fragmentation, over-exploitation of economic gain, alien species invasion. Clues here. The most important. Among the evil content, which is the most important causing? I made you write the line. I made you write the line, right? Tomorrow is maths exam. All the best for your maths exam. All the best for your maths exam. I remember, I was very scared. That is your, here. Habitat loss and fragmentation is the answer. Habitat loss and fragmentation is the answer. Second one. Next question. Which of the following is or are the causes of biodiversity loss? Over-exploitation, habitat loss and fragmentation, climate change only, over-exploitation only, habitat loss and fragmentation only. Students, NEET 2023 question. NEET 2023 question. Bacha, easy question. Are you noticing such easy questions have come? So option number 1 is the answer. Okay, option number 1 is the answer. Next question. Habitat loss and fragmentation, over-exploitation, alien species invasion and co-extinction are examples for your easy question. That is from your NEET 2022 biodiversity loss. Biodiversity loss. Easy questions. From this chapter you will get very easy questions, so please pay attention. Easy marks are for you. These are your easy marks for you, okay? Next question. This is also a NEET level question. The decline in the population of Indian native fish due to introduction of your Clarus in the river Yamuna categorized as. That is your alien species invasion. That is your alien species invasion. Remember examples of alien species invasion. All the examples for your alien species invasions are very important here. African catfish, water hyacinth, Latin camera pathium important. Then Nile perch also is important. Alien species invasion. Next, Western Ghats. Very important question again. Western Ghats have large number of plants and animals that are not found anywhere else. Western Ghats have certain type of amphibians or snakes or reptiles which are not found anywhere else. Which among the following terms will you use to notify such species? What are the species which are found only in one place? Can you even tell me? What are the species? I don't think this thing did not come up. So answer is your, oh, this has not come out here. I think I added the question before. It's your endemic species. Endemic species are the species which are found only in a one place. They are not found anywhere else. Okay, endemic species. Now, the last part of the chapter, that's your, why should we conserve biodiversity? Last part of the chapter, that is, why should we save the biodiversity? Yes, it is endemic. I think I didn't mention this, but that question will come out later. Okay, that's a NEET PYQ again. That also is a NEET PYQ. So all of you students, last part of the chapter, like the video right now and we'll start the last part of the chapter now. Can we start? Can we start, students? Why should we conserve biodiversity? What is so importance? Why? Why? What is the importance? There are many reasons, some obvious and other not so obvious, but all equally important. There can be grouped into 3 categories. So there are 3 main categories why we should conserve the biodiversity. The first one is selfish one, that is narrow utilitarian. That is selfish one, that is called as your narrow utilitarian. I'm not able to say it also. Utilitarian, that is your human use. Then we have broad, then we have ethical. That is, some ethics should be there, no. That is, only we should survive on this earth. Should we only survive on this earth, or should every other organism also survive? Yes, obviously, other organisms also should survive. That is your ethical. That is your ethical one. Okay. First, we'll see the narrow one. Narrow-minded people. Okay, that is humans. Narrow utilitarian arguments for conservation biodiversity are obviously human-derived countless. That is obvious. That is, humans derive countless direct economic benefits from nature. That is, could be food, firewood, fabric, construction material, industrial products, everything. Okay, and products of your medical importance. More than 25% of the drugs currently sold in the market worldwide is derived from your plants, and 25,000 species of plants contribute to the traditional medicine, that is Ayurveda, used by native people around the world. That is in our house also. Every single time I fall down, my mother still never puts Dettol. What do we put? We put haldi. Still in my house, till date in my house, we always put haldi. Always. Every single time I have a cough, my mom makes a kashaya for me. Traditional. And especially if I have running nose, if I have cold, my mother makes rasam till now. That is a lot of pepper. Because rasam, pepper can actually cure. The pepper has the ability to cure the cold. Are you noticing that? The traditional plant which you have in India, the beautiful one. Okay. Nobody knows how many of these medical useful plants there are in the tropical rainforest waiting to be explored. Still, we do not have idea. Beauty of it. With increasing resources put into, again, NEET PYQ here. With increasing resources put into bioprospecting. Bioprospecting. What is the meaning of bioprospecting? Exploring molecular, genetic, and species level diversity for products of economic importance. Nations endowed with rich biodiversity can expect to reap enormous benefits. So with the help of bioprospecting, we can identify many medical applications. This was actually my research topic. That is, I did my research on a plant called as your Zamia purpuraceae, which is a gymnosperm, and no one in the world has ever worked on it. So I was the first one to work on it, and I actually found the medical applications of this particular plant. That is antibacterial and antifungal properties of this plant. Similarly, my friend was working on clove. What are the medical applications of clove? So he actually found many different medical applications with the help of your molecular docking. We did something called molecular docking and spectrophotometer. We did multiple instruments called as your I forgot the instrument name. You will never mind. Next time I'll remember. I'll tell you. So you can use different plants to explore different possibilities of medical application. Now that was your narrow. Then we have broadly utilitarian. Arguments say that biodiversity play a major role in many ecosystem services. Obviously. That is, Amazon rainforest is providing so much of oxygen to you for free. Yes, that is, the fast dwindling Amazon rainforest is estimated to produce through photosynthesis, 20% of total oxygen in the Earth's atmosphere. Can we put an economic value in the services nature? No. You can get some idea by finding how much your neighborhood hospital is spending. We know in the COVID time, everyone were running behind oxygen cylinder. Remember, that much importance is there. So our Amazon rainforest is actually doing it for free for us. That is the importance of Amazon rainforest. You can get pollution, without which plants cannot, pollination. My glasses are, remove the glasses, wait. My head is also hurting. Pollination, without which plants cannot give fruit or seeds, is another service ecosystem provides through the pollinators. That is your honeybees. Yes, imagine if there was no pollinators. Every single thing we had to do on our own. We had to go take one plant stamen, take the pollen grains, put the pollen grains somewhere. We had to do everything on our own. But ecosystem is doing it for us free. Okay, that is pollinators. That is bees, bumblebees, birds, bats, right? There are other intangible benefits that we derive from the nature, the aesthetic pleasure of walking through a thick wood. Yes, walking in a garden, walking in a forest, trekking. All of that is an amazing feeling, right? It gives you mental peace. Watching spring flower in a full bloom, waking up to bulbul song, which I do not see anymore in the morning. Can we put a price tag on such things? Obviously not. The last one is your ethical reason to save. The ethical reason to save all the animals. That ethical argument basically is telling that Earth is not ours. It belongs to everyone. It belongs to everyone. That is, conserving biodiversity relates to what we owe to millions of plants and animals and microbe species with whom we share the planet. Philosophically or spiritually, we need to realize that every species has an intrinsic value. That is, every single microbe, every single plant, every single animal has a value to it. It is not only it, even though it might not be economical importance, but it has some other importance in the nature. Okay. We not be a current or any economic value to us. We have a moral duty to care for their well-being and pass on our biological legacy to good order to the future generation. That is sustainable development or sustainable use of this. The last part of the chapter is how do we conserve? We learned about why to conserve, but now we learn how to conserve the biodiversity. That is in situ and ex situ conservation. Now students, from this point onwards, you can expect so many questions from examples of in situ, examples of ex situ. I would advise you to make a tabular column in your NCERT right now and write down what is under in situ, what is under ex situ, because one question will definitely come. Very sure. Very, very sure. When we conserve and protect the whole ecosystem, its biodiversity at all levels is protected. We save the entire forest to save a tiger. This approach is called as in situ. Now, first PYQ can come from this line only. What is happening in situ? In situ, we are not saving one organism. In situ, we are saving the entire ecosystem. Right? That is a NEET PYQ right here in this line. That is, its biodiversity at all levels is protected. Conserving biodiversity at all levels. We save the entire forest. We are not just saving a tiger. If we take a tiger and keep it inside a zoo, that is called as ex situ. But inside in situ, we are saving the entire forest. That is called as in situ. Entire forest. This approach is called as in situ or on-site conservation. However, when there are situations where an animal or a plant is endangered or threatened, organism facing a very risk of extinction and needs to be urgent measure to be saved from extinction, that time we do something called as ex situ conservation. When do we do ex situ? Ex situ can be done in a very dire situation where an organism cannot survive in the wild. That time we take the organism and we keep it in a closure. Conserve the desired approach. Now, for example, in situ conservation, faced with conflict between development and conservation, many nations find it unrealistic and ecologically not feasible to conserve all the biological wealth. Obviously, because humans are greedy, we do not want to spend some money. We do not want to save everything. We want to save only few things. Invariably, the number of species waiting to be saved from extinction far exceeds the conservation resources available. That is, even though we have money, we are like no money is there. Okay, on a global basis, this problem has been addressed by eminent conservists. They identified, very important line, they identified for maximum protection certain biological hotspots. So what do we find? We have something called as biodiversity hotspot. Now, what is this biodiversity hotspot? Biodiversity hotspot is the location in which we find many different species. That is, region in which, first point is regions in which very high levels of species, very high levels of species richness and high degree of endemism. So in the case of your biodiversity, very high species richness, and along with that there is something called as endemism. Now, what is this endemism? Endemism means it is a location in which only one type of organism will be found only in one place. For example, do we see polar bear on our roads? No. Polar bear is mainly located in the South Pole and North Pole. That is, species confined to that region, not found anywhere else. It is not found in anywhere else. Initially, 25, very important line, again, NEET PYQ. Initially, there are 25 biological hotspots. Initially, there are 25. Initially, there were how many? Initially, there were 25 biological hotspots. Initially, right? were identified, but subsequently 9 more were added to the list. That is, bring a total of 34. So current one, the current number of biological hotspots is 34. These hotspots were regions of accelerated habitat loss. 3 of these hotspots, that is Western Ghats and Sri Lanka and Indo-Burma and Himalayan covers our country exceptionally high biodiversity regions. These are found in our country. I don't know why they're in Sri Lanka. Okay. Although all biodiversity hotspots put together cover less than just 2%. Even though there are 34 hotspots, they are just making up for 2% of the Earth's land. The number of species they collectively harbor is extremely high. That is why they are called as hotspots. Yes, that is why they are called as hotspots. And strict protection of these hotspots could reduce the ongoing extinction nearly by 30%. In India, ecologically unique and biodiversity rich regions are legally protected as biospheres. So students, in situ region, in situ, what do we have? In situ conservation, the first one is your biosphere reserves. What do we have? Biosphere reserves. Biosphere reserve is the first one. The second one is your national parks. National park. Then what do we have? Then we have sanctuaries. Third one. Then we have sanctuaries. Clear? India now has around 14 biosphere reserves, 19 national parks and 448 wildlife sanctuaries. India has also a history of religious and cultural traditions that emphasizes to protect the nature. You might have seen in native, they tell, inside this forest you're not supposed to go. Why? There is God inside that forest. Yes, a God is inside that, and if you go inside that forest, the God might become angry. Yes, that is called as sacred groves. Only few people are allowed to go inside. That is called as pandits. Yes, in many cultures, tracts of forest set aside and all the trees and wildlife within were ventured and given total protection. Such sacred groves are found in your, again, NEET PYQ. Such sacred groves are found in the Khasi and Jaintia hills in Meghalaya, Aravali hills of Rajasthan, Western Ghats regions of your Karnataka and Maharashtra, and Sarguja, Chanda and Bastar regions of your Madhya Pradesh, and in Meghalaya, the sacred groves are the last refuges for large number of rare and threatened plants. Now students, the names of your sacred groves are very important here. Where do you find sacred groves? PYQ has come. Okay. Now, let's see the question here. Let's see the question. Biodiversity has increased. They're increasing the number. Biodiversity is really decreased. Hotspots have not been decreased. Biodiversity is decreased. Now, endemic refers to species richness, species awareness, species confined to that region, or species diversity. 10 seconds. NEET 2022 question. Students, are you noticing? You are able to solve every single NEET PYQ from this chapter because you know every line of NCERT. When you know every line of NCERT, it becomes very, very easy to you. Okay? Answer number 3. Species confined to that region. Species confined to that region. Next one is your XC2. Can we start XC2? XC2 conservation. In this approach, threatened animals and plants are taken out from their natural habitat. We're taking them away from their natural habitat and placing in a specialized setting where they can be protected and given special care. Here we have zoological park. What do we have here? We have zoological parks. Zoological park, botanical gardens, botanical gardens and wildlife. See, that was wildlife sanctuary. This is wildlife safari. Two different things. Wildlife safari. You go in safari, you take one truck. You take one truck. You have one jeep will be there. You sit in the jeep. You go around wildlife sanctuary. Yes. Serve the purpose. There are many animals that have become extinct in the wild but continue to be maintained in the zoological park. That is, some of the animals have been extinct in the wild but they are present in the captivity. We are taking care of them. Humans are taking care of them because humans were the first one who destroyed them. Right? In recent years, ex situ conservation has advanced beyond keeping the threatened species in enclosures. That is, we just not only keep them inside a cage. We have other advanced technologies now. Example, taking the sperm and the egg, preservation of seeds, preservation of embryo. Yes, now gametes of threatened species can be preserved in viable and fertile conditions for long period of time using cryopreservation. That is your liquid nitrogen. Liquid nitrogen, N2, this is N2. Liquid nitrogen techniques. Eggs can be fertilized in vitro. Remember that Jurassic Park, how they make dinosaurs. Similarly, we are doing also not dinosaurs, but we have something in reserve. Eggs can be fertilized in and plants can be propagated. Again, tissue culture, using tissue culture techniques method. That is, we are keeping certain medicinal plants which doesn't go extinct inside the lab. Tissue culture. Seeds of different genetic strains of commercially important plants can be kept for a long period of time in seed bank. We have something called a seed bank. Inside the seed bank, we are keeping the genetically important seeds. What if a drought comes in? All the seeds die. All the plants die. What if there are no seeds now? For that very reason, some seeds are kept for inside the seed bank. Inside the seed bank. Biodiversity loss. Biodiversity knows no political boundaries and its conservation is therefore collectively responsible for all nations. Obviously, we cannot tell one party, one ruling party to tell that you conserve. No. Every single nation has to come together to conserve the biodiversity because as humans, we are consuming everything. Right? Historic convention. Again, students, many questions, many questions have come from here. Many questions have come from here. Many questions have come from here. Trust me, in this chapter, if you get a question, it's going to be from habitat loss, or it's going to be from the scientist's name, or it's going to be from in situ, ex situ, or this part here, this paragraph here. That's it. And in situ, ex situ, they'll not ask you what is in situ, ex situ. They'll give you examples and they'll ask you to identify which is in situ, which is ex situ. That's all. For example, here, the historic convention on biological diversity, the Earth Summit held in Rio de Janeiro in 1992. See, remember, starting today, I told you, one question was there. That is the question, 1992. Called upon all the nations to take up the appropriate measures for conservation of biodiversity and sustainable utilization of its benefits. Again, very important line. This one, can you see? What is the importance of your Rio de Janeiro? The main concern was conservation of biodiversity and sustainable utilization of benefits. Now, second one. In a follow-up, the World Summit Sustainable Development held in 2002, Johannesburg, South Africa, 1999, pledged that the commitment to achieve by 2010 a significant reduction in the current rate of biodiversity loss. So for your Johannesburg one was what? Johannesburg one was, what is the main aim here? The main aim for your Johannesburg was significant reduce in the current rate of biodiversity loss at global, regional and local level. This is the aim here. What is the aim of your Earth Summit? This is the aim. That is conservation of biodiversity and sustainable utilization of its benefits. Now from the aim question can come from, or the date can come, or which countries can come here. This paragraph, many questions have come. So with that being said, entire chapter is done. 2.5 hours, I believe. Started at 7:30, 8:30, 9:30. 2 hours. Chapter has been done because we've been solving a lot of PYQs. That's why it took more time. Okay. Let's see the question now. Which of the following is not a method of ex situ conservation? Which is not a ex situ conservation? Let me look at the chat. not a method of ex situ conservation. Let me take some time. Let's see how many can answer. Which of the following is not a method of ex situ conservation? National parks. Very good. Very good. Next one. In situ conservation refers to conservation only extinct species, protection, conservation of the whole ecosystem, conserving only high risk species, conserve only endangered species. Remember students, I told you in the starting the important line for your conservation. In situ conservation is not for one species, it's for the entire ecosystem. The forest, you are conserving the entire forest, not just the tiger. So answer is 2. The answer is 2. Next question. The World Summit on Sustainable Development held in 2002 Johannesburg, South Africa pledge. What is the aim? A significant reduction in current rate of biodiversity loss, declaration of more biodiversity hotspot, increase agriculture, collection, preservation of seeds of different genetic strains of important species. Told you, aim should be important. A significant reduction in current rate of biodiversity loss. Again, we have one more question here. Nile perch, you know, Nile perch is your alien species. Take it, Bruce, we learned here. So just do elimination. D is 1. Here. See, C is 1, sorry, C is 1. C is 1. Here, these two are gone. C is 1. Then what did we do? C is 1. A is 4. A is 4. This is the answer. A is 4. Then we have zoological park. We just learned ex situ conservation because zoos are we're taking from captivity, right? Then we have B is 3. B is 3 done. A is 4. C is 1. Nile perch done. Amazon rainforest is your 2. Release of your large quantity of air. It's called as air lungs. Lungs of your earth. Lungs of your earth. 1 is the answer, not 2. 1 is the answer here. Next question. Friends, are you seeing how many PYQs are we doing? NEET 2019 question. This was not given here. This also NEET PYQ. Every single thing you need PYQ. And students, if you're able to solve the NEET PYQs, hit the like button right now. Hit the like button right now if you're able to solve the PYQs. Earth Summit held in Rio de Janeiro 1922 was called for. Immediate step in discontinuation of CFC. No, there is no. Conservation of biological and sustainable utilization of benefits. Here. That is the answer. Aim. Aim for your that one. Aim is very important. Aim is very important here. Next question. Which of the following is not, again, not a method of in situ conservation of biodiversity? Which is not an in situ here, but it's botanical garden. No, botanical is in situ. No, botanical garden. Botanical garden. Sacred grove is in situ, biosphere is in situ, wildlife is in situ, botanical garden is the answer. Is ex situ. Botanical garden is ex situ. Students, that was the end of the chapter. Let me read the summary now. I'll read the summary. If you have missed out any point, we can figure it out. If you have not missed any point, good for you. Don't worry, after the summary, I have homework question for you. Solve the homework question. Let me know in the comment section the homework question also. I have 2 more questions, homework questions. After summary, I'll give you the homework question. Okay. And both the homework questions are also NEET PYQ. Summary. Since life originated on Earth around 3.8 billion years ago, your evolution chapter, there had been numerous diversification of life form on Earth. Biodiversity refers to the total sum of biodiversity refers to the sum total of diversity that exists at all levels of biological organization. Of particular importance is the diversity at genetic, species and ecosystem levels, and conservation efforts are aimed to protecting the diversity at all these levels. More than 1.5 million species have been recorded in the world, but there might be nearly 6 million species on Earth waiting to be discovered and named. Of the named species, more than 70% of are animals, of which 70% are insects. We learned that. The group fungi has more species than all the vertebrates species combined. India, with more than 45,000 species of plants, twice as many as of animals, is one of the 12 mega diversity countries of the world. Species diversity on Earth is not uniformly distributed, obviously, but shows an interesting pattern. It is generally highest in the tropics and decreases in the towards the pole. Important explanations for the species richness of the tropics are more evolutionary time. They provide a relative constant environment, and they receive more than solar energy, which contributes to the greater productivity. Species richness is also function of area of a region. The species area relationship is generally rectangular hyperbola in function. It is believed that the communities with a higher diversity tends to be less variable, more productivity, and more resistant to biological invasion. Earth's fossil history reveals incidents of mass extinction in the past, but present rate of extinction nearly attributes to the human activities are 100 to 1000 times higher. Nearly 700 species have been extinct in recent times, and more than 15,500 species are endangered. More than 50 are from India. Currently, see, this information is not given there. Extra information. Currently, India faces threat of extinction. The cause of high extinction rates at present includes habitat, particularly forest, loss and fragmentation, overexploitation, biological invasion, and coexistence. Very quadrate. Earth richest biodiversity is vital for the very survival of the mankind. The reason for conserving biodiversity at normal utilitarian, broad utilitarian, and ethical. Besides the direct benefits, food, fiber, firewood, pharmaceutical, etc., there are many indirect benefits we receive through ecosystem services such as pollination, pest control, climate moderation, and flood control. That is sacred groves, mangroves. We also have a moral responsibility to take good care of the Earth's biodiversity and pass it on to in order for our future generation. Biodiversity conservation may be in situ as well as ex situ. In situ conservation, the endangered species are protected in their natural habitat so that the entire ecosystem is protected. Recently, 34 biodiversity hotspots in the world has been proposed for intensive conservation care. Out of this, which 3, again very important: Western Ghats, Sri Lanka, Himalaya, and Indo-Burma cover India's rich biodiversity regions. Our country's in situ conservation efforts are reflected in the 14 biosphere reserves, 90 national parks, and more than 450 wildlife sanctuaries and many sacred groves. Ex situ conservation method includes proactive maintenance of threatened species in zoological parks, botanical gardens, in vitro fertilization, tissue culture, propagation, and cryopreservation of gametes. That is your entire chapter, and here is your homework question. Students, till now if you have any doubt, you can let me know in the comment section. If you have any doubt till now, let me know any doubt in the comment section. And also students, I want everyone who is watching today to write down done and dusted ecology. Not just this chapter. We have finished all the 3 chapters of your ecology. All the 3 chapters are done. The major chunk of your class 12th, that is ecology, is done and dusted. So everyone in the chat today, in today's video, ecology done and dusted. And also let me know in the chat if you have any form of doubt with this chapter. And also do not forget to comment the 2 different homework question. This is your homework question. Both of them are your homework question. Do not forget to solve them in the comment section. Okay? Do not forget to solve them in the comment section. Now, before I go, I would want all of you to see a few things. Before I go, if you go to the description of today's video, you will have so many links. When I say so many links, I'll show you also what are the links. Why are these links important also? Hey, what happened? So you might be wondering, sir, do we have more? See here, if you go to the comment section, if you look at the NEET Magic Kit, now this NEET Magic Kit is for class 12 students for a board examination. For your board examination, this is the link for your board examination. Can you see here? Every single chapter question paper, NEET or NEET also. See, NEET paper with code. NEET paper with code. Then, treasure box, all of you know. Vedantu Center, I already told you, Vedantu Center, technology and education are coming together. Then, here, NEET PYQs. Now, I made you solve so many PYQs, right? Now, if you want to solve even more PYQs, right here, can you see NEET PYQ Biodiversity and Conservation? More than 25 NEET PYQ with explanation. You can see with explanation is given here. With explanation is given here. More than 25 PYQs, 23 PYQs have been given here. 23 PYQs. And if you want to take a test, obviously I can take the test. I think, oh yeah, I can't. Because I am a teacher here, you are the student. Only students can take this test. So I want everyone who is watching the video right now, after you finish, try taking the test. If not PYQ, if not anything else, try taking a test right now after the test, after the session. To know how much you have learned. Try taking the test right now. After the class. Okay. After the class, try taking the test. Okay. So that is the end of this, and NCERT solution also. If you're a student for your class 12 board examination, this is going to be yours. That is complete NCERT solution. Students, every single thing is there. So try taking a test, at least that you do. Then solve the PYQs. And if you're board students, try doing the NCERT equations. Every single thing on this channel for free. You do not have to pay a single rupee. So with that being said, I'm going to go now. Ecology, done and dusted. The next chapter is going to be from my side, principles of inheritance and variation. I'll be doing the genetics on 14th of this month. Until 14th, you'll not be seeing me. Okay. So with that being said, take care. Bye-bye, all of you. Good night. And happy Mahashivratri, all of you who are not going to sleep, for them.